And welcome back to Troll Time. I'm your host, Ivan D. Curtis, aka the Troll King. And this is a show where we talk sports, movies, or anything thought provoking. Today we'll be talking WNBA All Stars, the selection process, and everything that went on with that. Of course, Angel Reese is the cover athlete for the WNBA for 2K26 and has released the AR1, her signature shoe by Reebok. Asia Wilson injury update. Let's see what's going on with that. She hurt her wrist and was out the remainder of the game earlier in the week against the New York Liberty. And we will recap today's games that was played earlier for the Kids Day games, and then also preview tonight's game. If you've been paying attention to the show, you know I don't do it alone. Today is just two of us. It's normally three, but it's just me and Bordy today. Bordy, what's going on with you?
Just the two of us. Everything is all good in the neighborhood. It sucks when we don't have our third leg missing in A Willie, but it's okay. The show must go on. And there's been plenty of shows that have been happening as of late in the W game.
No doubt, no doubt. Just hopping right into it because we are on time because definitely we've got to get out of here before the next game. WNBA All Stars. Yeah, Team Collier, Team Clark. The selections process was pretty interesting, kind of fun. Before we get into the picks, Bordy, how did you like the process and the teams and how they were picked?
Yeah, it's interesting because obviously we're used to seeing like Asia and like Stewie, but this time we have Fee and this one we have Caitlyn. And it's interesting. You could tell the two tones where like Caitlyn was basically doing her own stand up special, which I like too. I really don't like Caitlyn's team because sometimes they make her a little bit more milquetoast than she is. She's really funny. And like she showed that a lot last night, which was cool. She was making jokes and like mentioning stud buds and everything like that. Well, on the other end, you can tell Fee meant business. She mentioned unrivaled at every point of every second. Ooh, those CBA negotiations are gonna be nasty. I can't wait.
Yeah, a lot of people was speaking on that. Of course, she had on her unrivaled T-shirts, and they were talking about potential conflicts of interest, things of that nature. For me, I just think that Fee and Breonna Stewart, they want what's best for the players, and not only them. I
Yeah.
mean, I'm talking about them because mainly they had unrivaled, but I mean, you can throw Elizabeth Williams in there, Nneka Ogwumike, and everybody else that's along, on that committee. They just want what's best for all the players. I mean, so I don't see it being a conflict of interest.
Anything, and I've talked about this on the show extensively. If anything, Unrivaled exists as a perfect negotiation asset because the WNBA/NBA doesn't show the players the books of how much they actually make, and when you're going into negotiations, it's hard to know how much you can stand on what you have unless you have something else to compare it to, which is why the NBA is hiding it because obviously they don't want to give the players anything, but that's why the players made their own thing in the first place, and they were able to break even the first year. It gives WNBA players something to do in the offseason, and it shows that better is possible for the players as long as an organization the WNBA is committed to actually making sure that they get what they can get and get what they can need. So, unrivaled, no conflict of interest. If anything, player empowerment. And even if it was a conflict of interest, it's a conflict of interest for the players. Like, stop making hayway for all these billionaires. Like, what do y'all get? Come on.
Right now, with that being said, we'll start with Team Collier. Of
Mhm.
course, you got Nafisa Collier, and why wouldn't you have Breonna Stewart when we talk about unrivaled? Uh, Alicia Gray, Nneka Ogwumike, Paige Beckers, Courtney Williams, teammate, Skylar Diggins, Angel Reese, Alyssa Thomas, Kelsey Plum, Ryan Howard. Solid, solid.
Mhm.
Let's talk about them for a second. I love Alicia Gray and what she's been doing this season. I always think she's been under the radar, so to speak. I mean,
Yeah.
Atlanta's had their woes, but I think they woke a lot of people up early this season. It's going to be interesting to see how they continue to play this season and finish and see where that the ball lands for them. Paige Beckers, I mean, really being Paige in the league. I mean, I think people who are not familiar with her game, they people were looking for fireworks, and Paige has never been really that type of player. She give you whatever the team need. If it's scoring, she'll get buckets. If you need facilitating, she'll do that. Of course, she's a sneaky defender, but you're not gonna get the fireworks and the razzle dazzle that everybody was, of course, expecting out of last year when Caitlin Clark was a rookie. They don't play the same type of game. So
No.
she's basically being, Paige being Paige in the league. Courtney Williams, who I love, I think she's one of the best two-way PGs. What's going on, Thomas? Appreciate you for stopping by. We talking about the WNBA All-Star teams. Courtney Williams is one of the best two-way PGs. Gets it done. I love players who play in the mid-range. And she's one of the best at it. Definitely having an all-star year for them. And I'm definitely going to get into, when we talk about the coaches, Cheryl Reeves and her comments on that, which is, I couldn't blame her. But Skylar Diggins is having an all-star year. Angel Reese, I mean, barring the team's success or lack thereof, I mean, she's putting up all-star performances. Lissa Thomas, of course. Kelsey Plum, I'll take it. And then Ryan Howard, who I've been heavy on about doing the intangibles, not just sitting out there shooting the three ball. She's been rebounding, playing the lanes, getting steals, getting assists. She's been doing all the little things when she's not scoring the basketball. And that's all we ask for because she's super talented.
Right.
Now flip it over, Team Clark, because a lot of people said this was more like the youth against some of the
The olds versus the youngs.
yeah. And when you get down to it, I mean, of course, you got Caitlin Clark, who's the team captain, Leah Boston, teammate, Sabrina Ionescu. Now, let me not just skip by Leah Boston like that because she has been putting on a show this season, being more aggressive, more assertive, taking advantage of the mismatches, and not being reluctant to shoot the mid-range shot or the three-point shot, which is really it's been fun to watch her game grow in that regards.
Yeah, and her facilitating has gotten a little bit more of a push since Caitlin was out the lineup as well.
Yeah, so all that's good to see. And when we talk about the Fever game, I'm definitely going to get into that. But Asia Wilson, who unfortunately, had the wrist injury against the Liberty the other day, we're going to get into that a little bit. Satu Sabli hampered. Hey, once again, I mean, the health bug will not stay away from Satu, man.
Nah, it's so unfortunate. She's just a good player too, but
That's the thing. It's like almost to the point that we wonder, are we ever going to see the best of Satu Sabli? Because every time we start getting a glimpse of it, an injury comes up. Kelsey Mitchell, who's been playing phenomenal. Gabby Williams, I think she's definitely putting her name in the ballot for a defensive player of the year. She's a do-it-all type wing player, which is every team needs a wing like that. Sonia Citron, man, I think it's going to be neck and neck. I know a lot of people want to get a rookie of the year to Paige Beckers, but Sonia Citron, she's going to make a case.
yep.
She's definitely going to make a case.
A lot of people wanted to just give it default to Paige, but that's how I knew that people weren't really paying attention to this year of prospects because Sonia was hooping, and also too Washington, another one with Kiki, right?
Right. And teammates, I knew I knew Sonia Citron had talent. It was hard to decipher sometimes with the makeup of the Notre Dame team because it would be a lot of times I said this where she would be shooting great. She would be shooting 50 to 60% from the field, but wouldn't get a lot of touches while Hannah and Olivia was going crazy shooting the ball and struggling. They never really had any continuity with her. And now it's been beautiful to see with Coach Sidney Johnson for Washington and how everybody is getting involved, but everybody is still getting their numbers. Like, it's been beautiful to watch.
And I will say this about Sonia Citron. I kind of pegged her a little bit lower than she was projected to be because, like, I looked at her game and I was like, okay, she can play defense well, she can shoot well, she can kind of put the ball on the floor, but I didn't know how it would translate into the next level. And she's doing it all as efficiently as all possible. I feel bad for saying like she's like plus Bridget Carlton because I feel like that she kind of is, but I feel like that's also disrespectful to say in the way in which she can contribute in all the different ways of the game, but then also her ability to put the ball on the floor is something that I underrated a lot. So shout out for her for taking over in key moments, but especially being efficient.
Right, and then you have to round it out. You had Jackie Young, who I love, and I'm friends with her mom, so that's a plus. But
Yeah, shout out.
but I always like Jackie Young, but I feel like this year with the Aces, a lot of pressure is being put on her because I thought the beauty of the Aces when they had her and Plum is they played off each other.
Yeah.
Jackie Young is a phenomenal defensive player, but sometimes when you take a defensive player that can also score, it puts added pressure when they have to play top notch defense and score the ball at the same time. And I think now with the Aces, they're not getting a lot of good bench play at times, so it's putting more pressure on the starting five. And,
Yeah.
and you know, asking that from her and Chelsea Gray, and then sometimes Jewel Lloyd has just been a struggle this year. But last but not least, Kayla Thornton, man, when she
I hurt to see her be the last person, but I'm glad she made it in general because a lot of people really like downplayed the whole entire Valkyrie squad as just like, they're the extras. But like, no, like Kayla's been doing her thing and being whatever you say about the extra. She's extra plus plus if that's the case, okay? Dog mentality, getting it however way, and then leading this team in a lot of different areas that they need.
You know, this is the thing. I watched her play live with the Liberty, and I was like, okay, I thought she was solid. Like I didn't think anything beyond that. But this season, what this season has taught me, right? Is environment is everything.
Yeah.
It is everything because her and Veronica Burton, which we'll get to that later too, but
Yep.
watching them go from one environment to the other, now that's saying a lot when Thornton came from a championship team. And now you go to expansion. Now, typically, you think you go from a championship team to expansion. It's like, oh man, like I'm about to take a dip or something like that. But for her, like she's took it on, and obviously she's been named an All-Star now. But she's playing phenomenal, man. Like she does everything. I didn't know she was going to be that good of a scorer. That was my thing. I looked at her as a high-level utility player. But man, and she's been doing everything for the Valkyries. And that rounds it out, Bordy. I want to pass it over to you and just give your whole overall view of both teams and actually who you think is going to win.
Team Collier is so much more like diverse when it comes to both size, and you have shooting and you have defense. And it's an all-star game, so you can't say like defense who's gonna have it. I know Skylar Diggins is gonna play defense regardless. Okay, she's Skylar Diggins, she's a psycho. So in my viewpoint, like Team Collier does have a better chance, but like if Team Clark, you have like Sabrina, you have like players that like Sonia can also like start to hit some shots. Maybe Casey starts to bring that dog energy. If they get hot and they start, shooting from three, playing around like we usually see in all-star games, I do have a lot of faith in Team Clark keeping it close, or if not, like having an early lead. But it's hard for me to think that, like, with just the variety of players that they have and rebounding too, that like Team Collier might not just go off and do their thing,
No, without a doubt. I think Team Clark want to run. Like they
Up now.
they literally have the players to get up and down. A lot of two-way players too. Like a lot of almost everybody on there is a two-way player. Which when I say two-way, I mean play defense and can score the ball. What's going on,
Mhm.
Cheek? So I think me personally, I mean, I'm a rock with Team Clark. Of course, I mean, of course. I mean, anybody knows if you follow my page. If you, I mean, you know, I'm Team Clark. But I think I think Team Collier is going to be physical. Because
Mhm.
let's get it understood right now. The WNBA does not play an open gym style All Star game. It's going to be competitive. Like it's not.
Mhm.
So it's a proving ground. So I think it's gonna be they're gonna make it tough for Team Collier. They're gonna try to make it tough for Team Clark, but I think Team Clark gonna run away with it. Now, what's gonna be interesting to see is some players who may not play, and then who are going to be
Yeah.
the subs. That's where it's going to get interesting because if you look at it right now, of course, Hazel Wilson, wrist injury, Satu is out. So
Mhm.
that's two off rip right there where somebody's gonna fill in for them, and that's when we start talking about kind of perfect segue into this. I said I didn't like using the word snub, but here we are.
Mhm.
You got Brittany Sykes, who a
Yep.
lot of people, even there was some rumblings about that. Derek Hamby, she was on online rooting for her friend Brittany Sykes. Felt like two rookies getting picked over. A lot of people said she was hating, but I understood where she was coming from.
No. Yeah.
I can listen to somebody's opinion and not view them as a hater. Like I mean, because Brittany Sykes is having an all star type season.
She was having an MVP type season earlier in the season. So to say like she's hating is ridiculous because one thing that Slim was doing was hooping earlier. It slowed down a little bit. Obviously, she got injured. But like I think it's ridiculous of all the people to say that like mentioning them as hating of all the snubs, I feel like Brittany Sykes was one of those where you could say like unequivocally, like, yeah, she probably deserved it.
Yeah, so I think should her, Derek Hamby, Azure Stevens. Those are
Mhm.
my top three.
Yeah.
So I imagine two of those three are going to fill in if they don't play,
Mhm.
and that's where I see it right now. The WNBA All Star Game, July 19th, 8:30 on ABC. Of course, as time permits, we'll be talking about anything that goes on with that, especially if there's any fill-ins or substitutions. Angel Reese, cover athlete for NBA 2K26, and then also her shooter AR1 is released on Reebok. It's a simple shoe. I don't have
Yeah.
I don't have a shoe visually to show you guys, but I'll probably be posting and talking about it later on. But congratulations to her. Last year was Aja Wilson, who was the cover athlete for 2K, and this year's Angel Reese. I'll probably be tapping into it. I've never played. Ironically, I never played the WNBA mode on
Me
2K,
neither.
but I bought the
Me neither.
jerseys and put them on my player. But I've
Yeah.
never played them. So yeah, your thoughts real quick on that.
First of all, debuting your shoe on a cover of 2K is fire as fuck. Just period. That's baller as hell. So just shout out to Angel for doing it. A lot of people are upset. And personally, I love eating the people's tears because the same people were also very insistent that she'd never be a worthy player in the first place. So I feel like they're just salty that they keep on being proven wrong about her being a very good player. Um, I will say I'm a little disappointed by the shoe. It's not I thought it was all white, but it's like a little bit of iridescence, which is like cool. But this is Angel. This is Barbie. I expected some pink. I expected a little bit more color. Me, don't let this outfit fool you. I usually wear a lot more color. So like I was a little bit disappointed, but colorways will be available. And if it's anything like Asia's shoe, there'll be a million and a half colorways. So I'll wait for that in general. But shout out to Angel after a rough first couple days. I think everything's pretty much falling into place with her. And whether it be off court, on court, she's shining right now. And we are seeing that when you, me, and A Willie talk about just get wait and see a time, we've seen the fact and all the skills that she's had and she's showing them. I'm very excited for that and I'm very glad for it. I just wish that too. NBA 2K put as much effort into the W side as the W players put into playing in general. But hopefully in the future they can get that together. Either way, shout out to Angel.
Yeah, and I will say this. I mean, I want them at least get the player, make sure the players are getting properly scanned in the game because man, they had players chopped.
Dude, different races and all. Like, who is this girl? Like, this is a white girl, and I know in real life she is black as hell. What are we doing?
Yeah. So it's like, yeah, I mean, I love that they added that element to the game. As we get into this, the previews, I mean, with Asia Wilson injured her wrist 6 minutes into the second quarter against the New York Liberty. She didn't return to the game. Becky Hammond is saying, Asia doesn't want to sit out. Asia was being funny in an interview about it, saying that nothing wakes you up like the sound of the MRI machine. So,
Dude, she was goofing on the bench. She was like throwing up gang signs and everything. I was like, you were so unserious, girl. Everybody's worried.
yeah, so they pretty much taking it right now. Nothing's been really announced about it as of yet. She just made a statement saying that we gonna be all right, and left it at that. But we definitely be checking into it because it's gonna be pivotal, obviously for the Aces. I mean, there's been struggling, and they definitely don't need her out for a significant amount of time. But
I will say Underdog WNBA did post a couple hours ago. The Angel Reese is a game time decision. That's a different thing.
Right.
And Meg Gooverson is probable, so that's interesting. But Angel Asia, I apologize, is questionable for Thursday. That was posted 2 hours ago. That was per Kendra Andrews. So.
Gotcha. Okay, that's legit.
Mm-hmm. So not long term, which is exactly what the Aces need. They don't need anything else.
No doubt. No, probably today. Most of you are probably at work. If not, you noticed the WNBA game started early, 11 a.m., 12 p.m., 3:30 p.m., which actually works out for me. I mean, but at 11 a.m., you had the Seattle Storm and the Connecticut Sun. Connecticut Sun stepped it up today at home, 93-83. Unfortunately, this is the inconsistencies that we see out of the Seattle Storm. Who fall to 12-8, and Connecticut Sun pick up their third win. But Tina Charles, 36 where? Like, I mean, she was doing whatever she wanted against Seattle. They made a storm. They had a hell of a second half. They outscored Seattle 27-9 in the fourth quarter. Tina Charles finished with 29 points, 11 rebounds, and just set the tone. Had one block. J.C. Sheldon, who's been phenomenal for Connecticut in her role. Like I said, this is the year of saying environment is everything.
Yeah.
16 points, 4 assists. Was 4 for 6 from 3. Bria Hartley, 15 points, 3 for 5 from 3, 5 assists. Nisa Morrow, 6.7 rebounds. And Lita Lakin, 8 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists. Solid performance for Connecticut. On the other hand, this is what one of the trends I'm starting to look at from a lot of the top teams is what the bench do. That's what it's really coming down to, because all the starters for Seattle was in double figures, but you only got 4 points from the bench. That's not going to cut it.
No.
And Skylar Diggins finished she led them in scoring with 23 points, 7 assists. Then you had Gabby Williams, 21 points, 5 rebounds. Nneka Ogwumike, 12 points, 12 rebounds. And Erica Willer, 10 points, 7 assists. And Ezzy McGregor with 13 points, 6 rebounds, 3 assists. But that's you putting a strain on your team when
Yeah.
you relying on the starters heavy like that. No bench production whatsoever. Any thoughts on that game before we move on to the next one?
Yeah, we have such older vets too. I am disappointed. Noel Quinn, obviously experienced coaches, head coaches that are point guards in particular. They want to go ahead, or a team that's experienced. You want to go ahead and you want to put your faith and resources into your starters, and that makes sense since we have such a veteran team. But I think this is what happens when you don't allow Dominique Malonga a little bit more play time. You don't allow to see what's going to happen with Mackenzie Holmes, and unfortunately, Alicia Clark has not contributed as much as you want, and so hopefully she can start to feel a little bit more of herself after the All-Star break. Uh, Shout out to Sanaya Rivers and Anissa Morrow. Their numbers aren't always gaudy, but their effort is. So I really appreciated them. And when you talk about like players who like environment matters, situation matters, Bria Hartley unfortunately has tried and tried again, and the WNBA has not had a place after her stint with the Connecticut Sun. I think she is going to find her place, and I'm really excited to see her do well, and also Layla Lycan, who is somebody who is starting to warm back up. She was overseas for the longest time. It's her first stint in the WNBA, so only 8 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists. So we'll see what happens a little bit later for her. But she's a player that's interesting, and I want to keep on seeing how her game is and how it develops, especially under the Suns team, who could use scoring really bad, because I don't know if you're always going to get this performance from players like JC Sheldon. You will from Tina Charles, because that's what Tina Charles does. But for everybody else, a little bit more question mark. So hopefully she comes along well.
Got you. Now, at midday, we had the Golden State Valkyries at Indiana Fever, and man, this was a game. It was a good game. Now, eventually the Valkyries kind of took command and ran away with the game, but they went on to win 80-61. The Valkyries is now one game over 500 at 10-9. The Fever dropped to 9-10, and Caitlin Clark returned to the court after being out. I was kind of intrigued to see how that was going to look, who they were going to start, and considering they kept Ari McDonald in the starting lineup and took Lexi Hull out of the starting lineup, which is, I understand it in the art of coaching. I mean, you're trying to figure some things out, especially when your star player is coming back. And it's kind of tricky on who you decide to start and who you don't start and things of that nature. Now, Lexi Hull is somebody who's been productive coming off the bench, so it almost feels like a no-brainer. But she's also been somebody who's been productive being a starter. So it was just one of those toss-ups. And, shockingly today, Sid Colson only played 2 minutes. But yeah, now flip it on the other side. We'll come back to the Fever, but hats off to Natalie Nakase. Was coach of the month for June. They went 7-4 in June. Now the majority of their wins came at home. A lot of those were at home, but still being a new team, probably playing the most players than any team in the W. Various lineups and different things of that nature. Had a lot of players out for Euro basketball, and they still was making some things click. Veronica Burton led them in scoring today with 21 points, 8 rebounds, 6 assists, was 5 for 6 from 3. Kayla Thornton, 18 points, 8 rebounds. Don't let me short her. 2 assists, was 4 for 10 from 3. Now, she didn't shoot particularly well from the field, but man, played tenacious defense, grabbed some timely offensive rebounds. She just does all the intangibles. Gets a lot of deflections, always in the right spots. I just love how she plays. And then with the keynote They were the only two players in double figures for the
Yeah.
Valkyries. Now that's a spectacular stat when you think about it. And the bench, they combined for almost 30 points. I mean, well, actually over 20 points. Yeah, almost 30 points. 23 points. That's solid coming from the bench. I already posted about the fact that every player who checked into the game for the Valkyrie scored 4 points or more. That
Yeah.
that typically leads to a win. And they didn't shoot well neither. They only shot 37% from the field. And it's crazy to think you only shoot 37% and win by 19. Now, one might say they shot 7 more free throws than the Fever. But
Yeah.
they also missed more free throws than the Fever.
They just
So
get to the line and they get after it too. I think that's the biggest thing. Like a lot of people were down on the Valkyries, and even before, prior to their cuts, I think that got settled people a little bit of a wrong way, because W players are very like protective over their own, or W fans are very protective over players that they really like. But even prior to that, a lot of people were writing off that team. I think Natalie Nakas was in a better position more than any other new coach in the league, because unfortunately, yes, it is a new team. Unfortunately, you are dealing with a new franchise. Unfortunately, there is a lot of stuff you have to build and figure out. But one thing that's great about there being an expansion and being the first team to expand is all of the players that are unprotected, more than likely they're going to be role players, and high effort role players. And that's literally all they did, was just choose the high effort role players. And then some of them obviously went up to the poise. You talk about Kayla Thornton, right? We're surprised about how her ability to score in so many different areas. VB is another person who, like, again, on the Sun, she was not getting a lot of opportunity. A Willie talked about how she was underutilized. She's running free over in the Valkyrie system. And I think that there was a big advantage for Natalie Nakas to not have to deal with, like, this is an old organization, so you have some players who you may not have fit your system, and you may have players that you don't necessarily see a vision for long term. Everything that she got was for her. Every player that she got fit her vision and her image, and she set their team up in a great position, and we're seeing the fruits of it. This is literally a hard-nosed team that fights for everything they got, and it's no surprise that they're able to beat both playoff teams and lower ranked teams because of it, because they always give their all, and sometimes they do it, sometimes they don't, but it's always going to be a tough battle.
no, and that's exactly what I said. I mean, they have a slew of players that are going automatically, off rip. They're going to play defense.
Mhm.
The scoring is a benefit. Tiffany Hayes is one that she can give you 6 points and still be impactful. But
She
then,
she'll
go
she'll
ahead.
fall all over the floor doing it, but she gonna do it.
Yeah, and then if you need it, and sometimes if you need 20, she'll give you that. Like, I
Yeah.
mean, so that's just the beauty of this team. I mean, it's just all out effort. And that is the one thing I remember, Coach Nakase took a lot of criticism for a lot of the cuts, a lot of the players, the rookies that she cut, a lot of the players that she chose to keep, and different things like that. And then my whole thing in general about criticisms, I'm fine with criticisms of players, coaches, anything. Only thing I'm saying is don't just criticize the negative. Give people their props when it's due. Like when hey, if you think a coach is coaching like shit, think a player is playing like shit, cool. But when they're not, give them they just do. If you choose not to give them they just do when they're playing well or when the coach is making the right calls or doing the right things, that's what that's what certifies you as a hater. Like, be, if you just
Like,
if you just one track, like,
yeah.
because I was one, like, man, I was looking at all the moves, but think about it. You know, Letitia, I'm here, got cut, brought her
Yep.
back, been one of the best players coming off the bench on the team.
Dude,
Caitlin
Caitlin Chen.
Chen got cut. came back, and she's been productive. So like she know what she doing. Like they know what they doing. Like I mean, so it is what it is, and I'm gonna tell you the truth. My dark horse on this team is Janelle Salam.
Oh my gosh, I am so geeked about her. Her ability to shot create is special. It's just waiting to brew.
Yeah, now today, it could have been uglier. She shot 2 for 11, and she didn't take a bad shot. Like she just was missing. But I think she is a mismatch nightmare because really she's in between that wing and 4 or 5 range, but she can put it on the floor and create her own shot. And on the flip side of that, she plays defense. Like I mean, so I looked at the Valkyries. They have a lot of skilled players who play max effort on defense, and I think that's the gap for them. People look at it and say, "Oh man, but they 10-9." Look at all of those 9. All those 9 losses are not blowouts. They got a ton of 1-point losses, 2-point losses, or anything 5 points and below. Like they have a lot. They could easily be 3-4 games over 500, maybe even 5.
And when you talk about effort, 6 players who are more than 5 rebounds, like that's ridiculous. They're all giving their hardest. Like everybody runs, everybody dives on the floor, everybody it's effort defensively, offensively, and we're only going to see them. I'm excited to see them when they make the playoffs. It feels like because when they do, they're going to make it hard for whatever team that they're going against. Period.
No doubt.
It doesn't matter if it's the Lynx or the Liberty. It doesn't matter if it's like Seattle. They'll make it hard.
Right, and last but not least to mention about them is playing at Ball Hollow is already proven to be one of the tougher places to play at in the WNBA, and selling out every game at over 18K in attendance. And I mean, you can tell that you can see the enthusiasm. Even just watching it from TV, you can tell like it's a tough environment. They got a lot of good comeback wins at home, beat some good teams at home. Also have fallen here and there at home to some lesser than opponents at that time. But it's a tough place to play. Moving along, last game in the early afternoon, you had Phoenix and Minnesota, which I was looking forward to that. I wasn't looking forward to all the players that were out. But Alyssa
Mercury game, baby.
Hey, Alyssa Thomas said, "Hey, I got y'all." Put the Phoenix Mercury on her back. Had a career high with 29 points, 8 rebounds, 5 assists, 2 steals. As they went on to win 79-71 over the Minnesota Lynx. Phoenix Mercury is now 14-6. Minnesota Lynx is 17-3. Monica McConney. I'm gonna just say, hey, I'm gonna say, ma'am.
Ma'am. Come on.
13 points, 4 assists. Love her game, man. They have a lot of veteran rookies for Phoenix Mercury, and I'm gonna put some respect on her name. Monique McConney. She is tough. Along with a lot of the other tough rookies for Phoenix. But like I said, it really was all about Alyssa Thomas today. Dominant performance, continues to get everybody involved. It was a funny thing I read while I was scrolling through Twitter. I never heard this before. Somebody called her an assist merchant. And I said, now we just getting petty and just trying to throw names on everybody because who doesn't want to play with somebody who's going to pass the ball?
What is assisting? I hate. We are trying to. Hate has reached and transcended such a level in WNBA talk that we're like stats that are very important, like rebounding and assists. Next thing, points. We're gonna say like, oh, we're just a point merchant now. Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, it was just funny because I had never seen nothing like that before. But I understand what they're saying. I mean, the troll side of me just think it's funny, but I understand what they're talking about. But that's always been a part of her game. Like, she's not a prolific scorer, but if she garners enough attention to create passing lanes and create for other people, that's better scorers than her. So,
And she would be a slightly better because there was a point where Alyssa Thomas was shooting threes like crazy, and then she tore both her labrums, and now she has John McCain hands. So for her to be over here, she could barely lift her hands, but to still score 20, her career high, it's crazy. She finds a way regardless, and she's either gonna put her shoulder into you, she's going to figure out a way to pass it to you. She's uh, I say this, OG, and you tell me if you agree. I feel like if no, honestly, I don't think anybody. I think she is the most underrated player in the league. Because I was gonna say if like Caitlin McBride didn't exist, and I feel like Caitlin McBride is a little bit underrated, but like not to the degree of AT. And who else is another player? I forgot the other player of that list, but I feel like Alyssa Thomas is. Oh, and Nneka Ogwumike too. She's also underrated, but I feel like Alyssa Thomas is even more underrated than both of them combined. To be honest.
Yeah, I say that it seems like no matter where Thomas goes, she impacts the game the same way.
Yeah.
That's what I love about her game. I think Nneka Ogwumike is always going to like kind of stay in that role right now because they haven't went anywhere like since her prime, so to speak. So I think it's one of those type things. But it's just the fact that Alyssa Thomas keeps putting up numbers no matter what uniform she's in. I mean, apparently because the way I looked at Phoenix, I didn't see them being that dominant.
No.
And I didn't, like I said earlier in the season, whoever thought that Alyssa Thomas and Satu Sabli would be the duo that we needed. I didn't even know how that pair was going to add up. Like, but of course, it's been working out and they've been playing great together. And now they just got to get past the injury. But you got Sabli out
Yeah.
with an ankle injury. Hopefully, I really wish everybody would probably stay out until after All Star and just make sure they're healthy for the second wave of the season.
Me too.
Then you have Kalia Copper dealing with hamstrings, which is need to rest. The only thing that's gonna heal some of these injuries is rest.
Yeah.
That's it. And Lexi Hale that had a collapsed lung, like that's
That's literally right. There's nothing you can do about that, you know?
So, but they proven to be a deep team. People, players show up. Latska, I like her.
Yeah.
They're another team that gets good. Sammy Wickham has really been playing out of her mind. Most people, if you know her game, they would say just a shooter, but pesky defender, and has been making plays for Phoenix. So it's been good.
Sammy, actually Stephen Curry Whitcomb. Put some respect on her name, okay?
Right.
Steph Curry who?
Yeah, she's a flamethrower. Last game before we get out of here is tonight's matchup. You got Dallas and Chicago. I think you had mentioned earlier. Yeah, it's a ton of players that's out this game. Maddie Seegers is out. Enrique is out. Dejanay is out. Angel Reese is a game time decision. We'll see how that go. I'm sure she want to be on the floor. Camila Cardoso is back tonight. So we, see how that goes. I mean, me, I'm a fan of the game. I root for the Fever because I'm an Ohio guy. They're the closest team, so that's the team I rock with. And knowing a player or so on that team, but Chicago has a place in my heart. But I like Dallas because they're playing the rookies. Isaiah James and JJ Quinterly, and it's just fun seeing that fresh new wave of players that's coming in and producing. So I don't really care who wins. I just want to see a good game. Your thoughts real quick before we get out of here about that matchup.
Man, Zaza will always be. Zaza and Sinai have always been high on my list, higher than a lot of other people, just because I feel like they have a special talent. And unfortunately, Sides does do win a little times with Quinterly and Zaza right now. They're a little tiny, so hopefully in future years they'll get some bulk to them. You know what I mean? Now I do, because Sammy Whitcomb was like taking advantage of them last game, like crazy. But luckily, the Sky, they're not great at defending, and there will be a lot of great 3-point shooters. So I'm very excited to see what this Dallas team does. For all you guys that said these rookies aren't good, Dallas is an example of like 3 rookies on that team, 4 rookies. I apologize. Shout out to Lisa. They're all doing their thing. And I think that they have a pretty good chance against the Sky, especially if Angel's out. Because shout out to Camilla. She will always put up points as long as she is passed to, honestly. But it's hard because not a lot of people on that team have that edge, and Angel is the entire edge that they have, honestly, and grit that they need to overcome any team, and they've kept it close with a lot of teams just because of her play. So if she's out, I see this as Dallas easily, but I still feel like this is a pretty close game just because like Dallas can really take advantage of the Sky's inability to guard the 3-point shot.
I agree, and that game tips off at 8 o'clock. You can find that on the WNBA League Pass. Thank goodness, because I like to be able to rewind, fast forward, pause if I need to. So
I'll be coming to games late sometimes just so I can pass forward through all like the boring parts, honestly. Yeah, so I'll be like, I can wait a couple minutes.
yeah, here and there, but I think this will be a goodie. Anytime, like I said, I like all the rookies for Dallas, and I hope Andrew Reese does play. No telling what information is going on right now as we speak. But you got anything you want to mention before we get out of here, Bordy?
Uh, Stop hating on these players because every time you hate on them, they just play better. Like whether that be AT, whether that be Angel Reese. Like, actually, you know what? For Vegas' sake, hate on Asia while she's out so that they can have a little bit of hope. Because gosh darn it, Vegas needs it right now.
Before I get out of here, Cheryl Reeves had mentioned, she doesn't mind any controversy or anything like that. But she actually she actually made a valid point. But considering the new style, in the new wave of players about the All Stars, she's saying typically your better teams would have more All Stars.
Yeah.
And that's a valid point because typically that is how it goes or has been in the W. But I think at some point it's it's a tough thing in a team sport because in team sports people try to minimize individual accolades when it's beneficial to their argument. Because if it's your favorite player and they playing on a bad team, you'll make every excuse of why they're still good. They're just playing on a bad team, which still makes them eligible to be an all-star. Because there's a lot of teams, there's a lot of all-stars, some in this particular group that's playing on below 500 teams or right around 500 or barely over 500. But me personally, I don't like to discredit the individual performances of these players, no matter what the team success is, because it's not their fault. But it's on the flip side of that, I get it, because even your own personal individual success still has to do with the other 4 players that's on the court with you. So it's a tough thing. But Cheryl Reeves always cracks me up anytime somebody asks her a question because she definitely going to tell you what's on her mind and what's on her heart. The other thing I wanted to say is like, man, let's stop acting like professional athletes are like, they're not super duper role models. We see some of their ugliest moments in the heat of the moment. And we all have, as people, have done and said ugly things in the heat of the moment. So,
Especially when it comes to athletic, any type of things, man. I'm a nice person, OG. I will curse you out if you over here messing up a band routine. Okay, like
I
that's the
mean,
environment.
listen to me when I'm losing in a game on PlayStation.
You don't want to hear that.
So like, I'm just saying, man, we all human beings. We all fall short. We all don't show our prettiest sides all the time and things of that nature. But so it's like, comparing one another and acting like somebody's so much better as a person than somebody else because of what happens in the heat of the moment. To me, it gets far fetched and stretched way too much. But aside from that, you know why we here. We are here to laugh, show love, promote, talk sports, movies, joke, and troll. Catch us on the next episode.